अरुणाचल शिवा अरुणाचल शिवा अरुणाचल शिवा अरुणाचल.
निद्रा तत्त्वमजानतः विपर्यासे तयोः क्षीणे तुरीयं पदमश्नुते. During dream as well as in the waking state, I am holding on to something other than myself. And during deep sleep, I don't know anything. But if I don't know anything, slowly vanishes, as well as holding on to other things also slowly wins away. What is left is that substratum called the fourth one, Turiya, that is yourself. Be established in that.
So when we talk about be established in that, that is not something which will be outside of us. It is the innermost core. It is on which everything is coming and going. All these thoughts, emotions, feelings, planning. But they are so much on the top of it that you can't see yourself. You are completely being overlapped, overshadowed by the constant noise. Constant noise cannot hide you. Only your identity with constant noise is hiding you. Because this constant noise we think is our noise. We own it. All what is mind is doing, we own it. We think we are thinking, we have to act, we are planning. When a negative thought comes, sorrow comes, we take it. When a pride comes about accomplishment, we take it. All these are only thoughts. Everything is a thought only. Even this thought that I'm not liberated is also a thought, or I'm liberated is also a thought. And that is the reason why they say that a liberated person, if he's saying he's liberated, that means he's not liberated. Because what is liberated or what is not liberated? They are both same. What is knowledge, what is not knowledge? It is so clear and it is so simple. Because it is so simple, that's why it is so difficult to understand. Mind wants complicated things. And the problem is we try to understand with mind and with intellect. Mind and intellect can only sort out something which you can objectify, which you can see, which you can analyze, which is a shape, form, place, something on which it can, which has a characteristic. But this awareness, which is the source of mind and intellect and body and everything, mind cannot grasp it. And all our life, we are interpreting everything what we see or hear or touch or even concepts only by mind. Biggest problem occurs when even the simplest teaching comes to you that you are that. You look for that. And who is looking for that is mind. But the problem is that we are using mind to look something what we are already. It never works. Simple thing which can work is if you accept that you are that and keep quiet and then don't move. Move means moving back into the mind game and then start thinking and doubting that you are not liberated or that liberation is something else. Then the problem starts. So then all the practices have to be done in different religions and customs and concepts, and then the whole journey starts and it takes years or whatever it is. And one day you realize, not because of those practices, because then you give up the practice and you know that you're already that. So there's a lot of going around in circles. Going around in circles is sometimes needed to pacify your mind because it is so restless. It cannot just keep quiet by just this simple message. Simplicity is something which mind does not understand. It understands very, very complex things. That's why, if you see, yoga is considered to be number one nowadays. People think if you do these practices, you will get somewhere. While I believe yoga is the most difficult path to know yourself, because what you are taming your prana, your mano, maya kosha, your body, and then you are going, which you are already that. And a lot of people just get stuck up at the body level only in yoga. You can do all sorts of gymnastics, but that is not what you are. And so much attached to the body doing all that gymnastics that you stay at body consciousness only. Though you might live for 100 years or maybe 110 years, your body will be really good. But then that's not the purpose of true yoga. True yoga is to know yourself. And to know yourself,
Can't say that also. I can't say that also. Even if I am completely doing great exercises, if I have to get a disease, I will get a disease. So that is also not 100%
Yeah.
guaranteed. So even if I do exercise, if I am destined to get something, I will get it. So
Yeah.
even that is not guaranteed.
But I'm just taking the words of yoga gurus who say that you do it, you live 100 years. And I am just accepting what they are saying. But in spite of that, it is not serving the purpose. Because then there can be so many exercises which can lead you to maybe good health. As Bhagwan always said, that the body itself is a disease. And to be free from dis-ease, you have to be at ease. And how to be at ease is just accept that you are free, but then don't move back into the mind game. It is like moving backward in your all perceiving in day to day. More you sit and abide in yourself, more you will start feeling that you are quite back, perceiving things from a position in yourself where there is no involvement. Though you will be doing, but there is no involvement, nothing on stake. You do it, and it's not that when you do it you are unhappy doing things, whatever you do from morning till evening. But whatever you do, there is some disentanglement, complete disentanglement. There is a big gap between you and whatever is happening in front of you and whatever is happening even at your mind level or your intellectual level. It is a very big gap. And this gap is not there when you are in the mind game, when you are as a doer. How to detach and go backward from all this, what is happening? How can you do that? To do that, the simplest technique is you stay witness. That means you are not moving into the doership. When you don't move as doership, somehow, some way, it leaves you. That doership, that doer leaves you. Like, even then, without practice, if you want to be back to what it was before, you cannot, because it becomes like a vestigial organ or a concept in which you have not put any money. Satsang has power because of that. Because when you sit in satsang, you can't sit in satsang and imbibe all the energy, all the positivity as an ego, as a person, or as intellectual understanding or grasping from the mind. You just have to sit openly and it will come direct to the heart. It is talk from awareness to awareness, or it is just that even no talk, you sit and it goes, because that's what every one of us is looking. It is the best antidote to mind. And more you sit, more, even when you come out of the satsang, more that energy of that awareness stays with you. And then it repeats. Another very important thing I want to tell you about this opening of awareness is that you can't compare it with any game. Let's say someone plays golf. If you don't play golf for a month and you go back again, your game will be deteriorated. But this is not like this. Abiding in awareness, the work continues all the time because of your openness. Even when you sleep, it is working. It is unfolding all the time. Though people talk it like a snap and you are free, yes, but then old habits die hard. You can slip into the doer mode, ego mode. Things still sometimes pinch you and you stay as awareness. But that work continues. So a lot of things just leave you, in a sense, at intellectual level, at mind level, even physical things around you. They just keep moving, receding, or coming towards whatever has to happen in the most perfect way. And you are not doing it, but this whole awareness is doing it because it has found a new home in you. So you don't have to worry about it. You have opened the door and it is doing its job all the time. Though there is seeing, but that seeing becomes more deep. The wisdom becomes more deeper. And this all happens, you can call it your own grace or grace of God, grace of Guru, grace of teaching, whatever you call it, or you don't want to call it. The process, once it starts, it never stops. It finishes to the end. The only thing is, don't obstruct this path. Stay in total acceptance, whatever is happening. Don't indulge in any new thing deliberately. And things will occur in the most beautiful way, the way they have to. Most beautiful way doesn't mean that everything will be very pleasant or things might not go wrong in life. But even if things are, which people call as suffering or unhappy events, they will not be unhappy and they will not cause suffering. There will be serenity, there will be calmness in you, humbleness, feeling of gratitude, because that opening has cleared everything. There is no mess there. And with total acceptance, whatever life takes you towards or not doesn't matter. Life becomes so spontaneous, unplanned. But that spontaneous, unplanned life is much more beautiful and in harmony with the whole cosmos than things which we plan. There is some substance in it, some beauty in it. But it is not that the mind can't grasp it, but you know, there is something in that it is genuine. It is something which you know that this is reality, this is unchanging thing. Like mind wants this, and other day it wants something else, and then some days it's things are boring which he used to love, and it keeps changing all the time. The beauty about abiding in awareness is that you are always, there is some intuitive knowing that everything is all right. Everything is all right. So there is no fear, no anxiety, no restlessness. When everything is all right, how can there be any restlessness? You have accepted whatever has happened in the past in the story of mind body, and you have no worries about the future, what going to happen. Just because that planning, egoistic mind, which was playing as a protector of this body mind, you are not using it at all. You are just accepting as things comes and go, without attaching to anything, without hate, no likes, no dislikes. Life, even these words don't carry any meaning, because that is the nature of awareness. It just flows, and it keeps you grounded, keeps you humble, keeps you genuine. That is the best word which I think I can use to describe it. You have this feeling of genuineness, whether you speak to someone, you don't speak to someone, you meet people, you don't meet, you accomplish tasks, you don't accomplish, you lose money, you lose health, but you don't lose this genuineness. You might lose friends. People might not even respect you. Who cares? There are a lot of sages who were bashed. We also know were hanged. So it doesn't matter. That genuineness never goes away. Like, people say someone has lost self-respect, or, self-esteem. These things are all at ego level. What we feel of proud is only ego. Here there is no proud, no lack of self-esteem. Nothing changes. Though nothing changes, but you don't get bored with this unchanging awareness. It is like Therav, like anchor in you. Now, very solid anchor, like the mind doesn't want to go anywhere. Mind also loves it, because you have anchored in that purity, in that awareness. And your mind was going outside to find all the purity and happiness and all. But once you have decided to be there, mind is also surprised by this beautiful, pleasant finding which is within. It just recedes. It was only serving this falsehood, this wrong concept that mind is serving me to be happy by procuring things around us, or beings around us, or incidences. But then all this false notion has fallen, and you are in your own genuineness. Mind has no work to do, and the mind recedes. And the mind recedes, and mind also enjoys that silence. Though mind has served you so long in this drama of samsara, because of your own interest, because you thought, if I achieve something outside, I will be respected, praised, I will be honored, or I will leave some legacy, or whatever it was, whatever thoughts you were conditioned by society, by family, by education. And one day, whether you like it or not, whether you go on a spiritual path or not, everything will turn into dust. How long a person lives for? Maybe 100 years, maybe 110. And then what happens? the body mind which we are proud of, which has achievements, all that partial knowledge which we are acquiring, or wealth or objects, nothing stays with us, or we don't stay with that. That is reality of all of us. We go back to the same pure awareness. But there is one issue with that. If there are unfulfilled desires and attachments, the mind doesn't die with the death of the body, and it keeps you in this cycle, never ending cycle. This cycle keeps going if you are not interested to be out of it. You can multiply, you can go down, you can go up, you can, so many things can happen, but it's still inside that cage. But if you want to be out, then it is your own interest. You just sit here and let whatever unfold. If you have no interest, how does it matter what is happening to the body or to the mind or to the things around you? When you have decided to sit quietly forever, eternally, then nothing matters. Just this sheer understanding, this simple understanding that, look, if I'm not involved, then how does anything matter to me? If it matters, that means I'm still in the mind game. It is beautiful word, matter, isn't it? Matter means matter only, material. And you are not matter. You are that pure awareness.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Things come, things go, day changes. Nothing is same on any day. Everything changes. You see sunrise every morning, it's a different type of sunrise. Every day different thoughts, different people come to you, different things happen. Sometimes same thing happens, but in a different mood. Nothing is permanent, nothing is unchanging except you. And you will be happy, contented, peaceful, blissful only when you touch this unchanging, changeless in your heart. How to recognize this changeless in your heart? To be that. And how to be that? When you are not running for anything. And you're also not running away and running towards, both ways. Sometimes some people, they are running away, into caves and forest, but they take their mind with themselves. That is also not useful. Yes, maybe if your life circumstances takes you there, that's okay. But it should not be running. If you see, most of the people who are able to abide in self are all family people, grast. Very rarely there are people who are sitting in caves and they have achieved. Yes, they are, but actually that is more of an exception. If you see, most of them, you can see even in Prophet Muhammad, Ramakrishna Paramhans, Nisargadatta Maharaj, Guru Nanak. There are so many examples. Even day to day, there are so many people. You can be more when you are Papaji and a lot of people. Present and in the past. Tulsidas, a lot of people. It is not about married or unmarried or living in forest or living in family. It is only about staying in your presence wherever you are. If your liking is with your own awareness, then mind cannot do anything. Whatever mind brings, you just ignore. Mind will say, you are sitting here, there is a party going on next door. Why don't you join? And you say, okay, that's okay, I'm okay. If you're okay, if I am okay is That's what comes from within for everything. Then who can disturb you? And if nothing can disturb you, then you are in that bliss. Our disturbance is our own interest in things, or repulsion from things. That's why Bhagwan always used to say disinterested action. But sometimes you might think disinterested means that you are doing an action and you don't want to do it. Actually, it is more of a neutral approach. Your interest could be to do the thing in the best way, but you're not after that, whatever the outcome is, you just accept. You are just doing things for the sake of doing it. There is bliss in just doing the thing rather than the outcome of thing. And you don't have to think too much about things, how things will unfold, what you need to do, what you don't need to do. When you stay in awareness, things just happens. Actually, things also happens in their own way in ego mode. But as a person, you start feeling good or bad depending on what you desired, what results you were expecting. But staying in your heart as a very neutral presence, nothing at stake, you just accept things. But the beauty is whether you are active, you are inactive, results are favorable, unfavorable. Results are always favorable. There is no failure and no winning situation. It's always winning. If you have accepted, then how does it matter? If you have already accepted whatever has to happen will happen, and you are contented and happy in your own blissful self, you don't get disturbed what happens 1,000 miles away. You get disturbed what happens in your own environment around you, just because of that person mode. It makes you so small, and you don't see things in their totality. Like, you might have done something wrong, that's why this thing has happened to you, but it never comes to you like that. You get agitated, you react to things if they don't go right. And you don't have to plan anything when you are not after results in your own way. This is eternal retirement. It is such a beautiful retirement from the word. Like, people retire but never retire actually. They get more busy with their grandkids and so many different things. Like, some people start traveling around, and travel itself becomes a headache to them, to plan and to go and to take visa, and then COVID situation and lockdowns and refunds and all those things. I'm not against these. All things can happen. You can travel, you can help others, you can play with grandkids, but you can do all these things without any attachment and intense desire. Things can still unfold and you might still be doing it, but you can do it more beautifully with awareness, with peace within. And I think if you do with that peace within, it will give a different taste to things around you, to beings around you. So settled, so much settled within. So people, when they come close to you to look for that peace, even if you don't speak, they will get that peace. It's good for you, it's good for others. I think this is the most beautiful thing a person can give to the world. If they stay in their own pure awareness, no war can happen, no greed, no anger, no jealousy, nothing will happen wrong. If people abide in their pure awareness, We all interact with people at different levels, at family level, in our jobs. But I think working as a doctor, it gives more opportunity for you to know in and out about people in such a short span of time. When you meet friends in parties and all, they all have a big thick mask in which everyone looks so happy, and you can keep meeting them years after years. You don't know what real person is. Maybe sometimes you guess. One person carries so many personalities, but it is all fake. I'll give you an incident. What happened was, many years ago there was a cruise in Melbourne, doctors cruise. It was a dinner cruise on Yarra River, and it was a big gathering. It was a big boat, and there was a DJ who was playing music. And I remember next day I heard that after that cruise finished, the DJ killed himself, did suicide. And I could guess that he must have thought that these people are so happy. I am the only one who is unhappy person, unhappy soul in this world. They are enjoying. But I know these people who are there, they are just drinking and they're just feeling happiness in their drunkenness, but full of shit. There's no substance in it. And this poor chap must have thought, he must be depressed. I'm not saying that people were responsible for his death, but I'm just taking where it comes from. One day you think everyone is happy around me. These people are wealthy, they have education, they have everything. Look, they are having a party, and I'm the person who is just playing this music, so unhappy within. And next day morning, he killed himself. But what I'm trying to explain is that what we see is not true. People look so happy, but when you know them, when you go close to them, you know how much suffering people are going through. All that happiness is only on Facebook, which I call as fake book. But connect here with people, then they will tell you the true story. And being a doctor, you hear so many stories. They are also painful stories. You can't just neglect completely when someone comes with a story and you say it's a story, just drop it and you are pure awareness. You cannot say like that. There is an opening, there is a time for everything. You can't just ignore people suffering. But yes, there is an opening in every suffering. You can work it out. And I believe suffering is sometimes a blessing, because when you suffer, then you are less interested in all what is going around you. Then you go deep within to look if there's any other way to get happiness. Then you search pages of spirituality and religious books, and then you try to look, what can we do? And this is the thing, that once you have grasp of this simple thing, which is none other than you, which is nothing but bliss, nothing but peace, nothing but contentment. And all the restlessness is nothing to do with you. It is all thoughts coming from the mind, which is a gadget. You and the mind are a distance apart, just like you and your laptop or your iPhone. So the whole game of this spiritual unfoldment is to separate yourself from the matter. Mind, though it is subtle, is still a matter. Like we have mixed two things together, the consciousness with the mind, with the body, with intellect, which are nothing but gadgets. You are the energy, you are the source. You are not dependent on them, they are dependent on you. The moment you leave, they are all dead bodies. But we are so much involved in it, we are so much hypnotized that we don't even sit for a second and see, look, who is unhappy? Let's try to explore the one who is angry, who is angry? One who is greedy, who is greedy? Who has this lust for other people's body? Who is after wealth? What wealth will achieve? What comfort will give? To whom this comfort is? To the body or to me? We never ask this, and we keep running for things. Even if we don't run, we feel unhappy within. With the simple reason, because that's the whole world is. Everyone is just running, running, and running. And nobody knows where to stop and why to stop and what is this all about. Sit here and everything sorts out. As if when you sit in your heart as a witness, all what is not you just leaves you. Things get so clear. It is such a simple task to dismantle all these attachments which are not you. And this is what unfoldment is also. Things just open up. It is so simple, so easy, but yet so difficult. Difficult because of conditioning of the mind which is running around. And when you go outside satsang, there's less help outside to, as a reminder, to remind you. Let's say we live in a society where everyone wants to be free. Whole society wants to be free. Then yes, there will be reminders everywhere. Employer, employee, friends, family. That's the only thing they will discuss at the dinner table, whether you are still abiding in self or you are still in ego mode, and how far you have progressed. Every meeting starts with that only. All discussions start there only. They end there only. All the purpose of life of all human beings is that only. How beautiful it would be. Then nobody is disturbing anyone because they're all sorting out their own mess. Life will be very peaceful, isn't it? That utopia, I think probably it can happen. I don't know when it will happen. But it has never ever happened for everyone. So the best is to, if this is your call, then it is just your call. If anyone wants to join, well and good. If nobody wants to join, ekla chalo, just stay alone, just keep going on this path. Because actually, when you reach, you know that there's no one except you. There's no one else. Just like in your dream, you are dreaming. All those characters are only out of you, your own projection. Abiding in awareness, when you don't have an ego, you don't see anyone's ego. You only see awareness. Beautiful awareness. You don't have to cultivate love for everyone or anyone. It is just unconditional. But that love, which we call as love in this word, drops. That love, attachment to a specific thing or a person. That has been taken by this profound love for everything. It has no boundaries, no demarcation, no groupism. There's nothing in it. And even if there is no being around you, you still love. There's no sentient or insentient things that you can divide, that you will love this thing, this level, and you can't love. You can't help. You can't choose. There's no choice left. Only thing which is left is just a big void of emptiness. But this emptiness is full of fragrance of love. And that intuitive thing which knows that everything is right, don't take it as a thought, that a thought has come, now I am free and I am in awareness, and you're trying to hypnotize yourself. It's not like that. It is your own knowing. Like in this jigsaw puzzle, you were trying to move things, and they were moving and they were looking like not really going right, and then suddenly it just fixes itself. And then things just stop, like you know that, yes, buck stops here. And once Ruchi wants to say something.
I wanted to ask something actually.
Yes.
You say that we are awareness. And when we are awareness, how can we actually really get validation from the mind, which is really insentient, the thoughts also, which are just insentient, which get all energy from that awareness? So the validation that we are awareness, to seek it from the mind or the body is totally incorrect. Is that right?
Yes. That's right.
So there is no validation as such that you are awareness. You are just that, and full stop.
You are your validation.
So awareness is the validation of awareness
Yes.
and nothing else.
Yep.
Yeah.
There are no two awarenesses. There is only one awareness. If there is two, somebody has to validate. So there is only one awareness. So in that case, who is to validate whom?
That's exactly my point.
Very right, Ruchi.
Thank you.
I can understand where you're coming from, because it always creates a doubt. That is the job of the mind. Are you abiding in awareness? I don't feel that. What is the proof? And that creates doubt, question after question. But if you stay strongly as presence, this voice has to go. It will go away. It will be completely stopped. And even if you want to create a doubt, because the power of awareness, I'll tell you honestly, the power of awareness is so strong, it is self-effulgent, that it burns away everything what it is not. When it opens doors for you, okay, let me just make it very clear. There are two things which can happen with a person. Let's say in an ego mode, one person sits and watches things happening around and call himself a witness. It's completely wrong. Ego can do it, watching everything going around, but always with self-interest. with selfishness, in egoistic sense, it will be working. It will never be impartial. And who knows that? You will know that. You don't have to go to testify someone whether you're witnessing from the ego mode or you have stepped back and you are impartial awareness. Because this is very dangerous situation where you are at ego mode and you are calling yourself as witness. It is dangerous not for others, for you only. Because you will be in this concept that you are free, but you are much more bound now. You have given thief this job and thief is saying that he is free. So how do you check? Mind cannot check. If you have made mind as the witness, then mind cannot check. Mind will say, because it's all power of mind now, mind will say, yes, I am free. You speak to anyone who has nothing to do with spirituality, people say, I am a free bird. I do one good task a day. I am in abundance. I always do this mantra in morning that I have everything in abundance and I have feeling of gratitude. And I'm always happy. That's why everything comes to me. I am power of mind. All these things you hear all the time from nowadays, full of egoistic attitude. That is not freedom. Freedom is not that you pick up your car and you want to go wherever you want and there's no lockdown around you. That's not freedom. Freedom is only freedom from your mind. All these doubts which arise in the mind, whether you're free or not, will disappear forever if grace, I always say grace opens the door of awareness to you. And how grace is going on all the time, but how that door opens for you, but not for someone else. How? Why? Nobody can question this, because that grace knows who deserves. You can stay at the level of this ego observation of I amness. And then you don't involve in anything. And wherever you see this witness getting partial about anything, and how ego stays as a witness, it always have mind on its side, helping to do this or not to do this, like this or don't like this, constant planning, constant self-reward. When you stay as witness, all this will come. This is the ego mode. You are witnessing. But when you stay and don't listen to all the thoughts which are around and give a silent smile to all these thoughts without engaging them, if engaging, then withdrawing again, and with this constant tussle of slipping into with mind and trying to stay as awareness, this receding from the ego witnessing to this pure awareness happens eternally, timeless. And that where that ego goes, what happens to the mind, who cares where they have run away? But you have to stay in that purity where nothing is mixing. Because whole game is unmixing. Consciousness is mixing with the body-mind complex and we are fixed. We are trapped. Unmixing can happen when you stay as witness. And let's say you stay as witness and the mind thoughts comes and they pull you and they say, look, do this, do that. That witnessing is still happening at the mind level because attention is coming from the mind to be witness. But there's a higher witnessing happening which is watching this whole game of witnessing, thoughts coming. Some thoughts you are buying, you are moving with thoughts, sometimes even acting with those thoughts, and then coming back to this neutral zone and trying to stay there. But some people can grasp it so easily and so quickly that for them it is just a one stage process, not two stage. That you are witnessing at ego and you're sleeping and you think, oh look, I'm not mind and I'm not ego, I have to witness, so I don't want to indulge, and then you stay. Yes, it can be like that, and that is also beautiful, because anyway you are receding away from it. Acknowledging that you have an ego is a very big step to be free from ego. Because who says that? You go out and say someone that you are egoistic, he will slap you. This is in normal day-to-day world, people think they have no ego. Only spiritual people feel that they have ego. This is the paradox. So the moment we realize that who is the one in us which is making us restless, unhappy, then you know where you don't have to move, and you stay just awareness, the most genuine person. And I'll tell you, because of conditioning, the moment you meet a lot of people who have strong egos and likes and dislikes, and you go there and you look awkward when you're doing spiritual sadhana, but let's say you stay with them for 5, 6, 7 hours, you slip back into that mode, because you are also conditioned at some stage in that. And that is why this passion, vairagya, staying in solitude, all these things are helpful to a novice, because then you can try to disconnect, try to be strong in your own seeing, rather than slipping back when you catch up with people who are completely in ego mode, especially in big get-togethers. Probably you can hold this space when you're meeting one-to-one, but when you meet 10 other people who are all into that in their own ego, sometimes it's hard to stay. And especially if someone for too long, because you by habit you start speaking the same language which you used to use to counteract as defense mechanisms against that person. To stay as presence mode in more familiar surroundings with strong egos is difficult job. But that's what it is all about. The whole process is to unwind yourself, go backward, and staying in your heart. And whatever circumstances changes, and they demand that you should now speak like a person or go into your ego mode, and you stay there, that is titiksha, that is your fortitude. It looks very hard, maybe it might be hard to start with, but it becomes very easy. Because you know what happens when you stay as a witness, you get a lot of peace and contentment. And then you don't want to get into any type of, with anyone, any argument. So you become loser to all arguments. You give up before argument starts. Or anything which is ugly might happen if you get entangled. And that is so beautiful. Because there's nothing more peaceful than your own self. There's no other companion better than your own self. An eternal companion. So you are the source of bliss. You are the source of peace. Why would you go and strike your head with other egoistic minds? Why would you do that? Why would you decrease your level? Again, playing mind games. Why would you not live at that higher awareness level, very high awareness level, at that purity? Why would you drop your level? Never. Because you have done this in the past. It never gives a good taste in your mouth. it's bitterness. All the wars which we win in this world are useless. Better to be a loser in this world and gain your own self. And just this understanding will keep you so separate from whatever is happening. It's not that you will then say to people, look, I don't go like you, I'm very high level. No, that again is an ego talk only. But within that, I don't want to move from here. I'm happy here. Whether I lose some money or lose some friends or lose some health, doesn't matter. Let's just be there. This is something most precious than anything what the body mind might get any gains in the external world of any type. You just stay there. And if you are staying there, this awareness will just take care of everything. Everything in the most beautiful way. At least for you. I don't know for others. Others might think that you are not living a good life, You're missing all the parties or enjoyment. Maybe, but you know that you are happy, you're contented, you're blissful. And this intuitiveness, that is what I would say to Ruchi, that this intuitiveness is much stronger, much powerful than mind. That all the trust and all those things coming from the mind, you don't bother. Actually, this word is completely wrong, that you don't bother, but mind doesn't do any trouble. Mind just disappears completely in that awareness. It might be initial part when it is coming back. They call it dark night of the soul. Maybe in the initial parts. In the past, I was reading Mother Teresa's letters, when she became a nun and she was doing all the good work in India. And she was writing these letters to someone, I think in Canada or somewhere. So those letters were published in a book form. And she was talking about that. I don't feel any happiness within, and all this. It can, it takes time to stabilize in that seeing. It takes time, and then everything is okay. But you have to have that faith, that mountain of faith, Arunachala of faith, that when you have given up this body mind, then why to worry? And this is very small price. It's not even a price, giving up your body mind to your pure self. It is not even a prize. What prize is it? Amit, you want to say something?
Yes, I think you mentioned you have to have faith. It would be your experience, right? I mean, you don't necessarily have to have faith. You have the experience. So, if this works for you, then keep on going. If it doesn't do something. Faith suggests some level of faith in religion, or if that isn't that.
Amit, I can't understand whatever you are saying. I think the voice is not
Can you
clear.
hear me?
It's not
Hello?
clear at all. I don't. Is anyone can hear
I'm
him?
saying-
Because I can't understand anything.
I can't hear him too.
I
It's
don't
very,
think.
very.
Yeah, I don't think we
something
can
like
understand. Maybe wherever your connection is. It's not.
Some speaker or something is there.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
It's not clear.
Oh, okay. Next time.
Maybe you can write down your question in chat box.
Okay.
Anyway. Yeah, I think Amit has written in the chat box that I mentioned about faith and better to rely on experience. But what will you do if the experience is taking another 10 years? How will you continue for next 10 years or 20 years? You have to have some faith that this is going to happen. If it's not happening in next second, you are not getting that experience or abidance. It's not an experience, but it is you. But let's say if you're not getting to your own self, then you have to have faith. Otherwise you will say, look, it's not working. I've tried for 2 minutes or one satsang and I'm leaving. I just want an experience. Experience is not coming, I'm leaving. Then what can I say? I'll say, have faith till it happens. Maybe you've not put your 100% into it. And so the best, I believe, the course of action is sometimes to have patience and perseverance. But patience and perseverance for something which you are not gaining or you have not gained, actually it's not even gaining, but it's unfoldment. It is what you are. But if you are not feeling that way or you're not getting that, then you will give it up. So faith is important. And that is the reason why you follow a teacher or a scripture or a practice and you see how many people have done and how many people have gone through it. Let's say you are writing for a competition, some exam, you go to various tutors, you try to see whether that coaching class, how many people have succeeded, then you join. Same is here, because there are so many teachings and so many paths, and I'm not saying they are right or wrong, but something you should have faith in it, that yes, this is what it will work. And if that what clicks to you, then you just do it. But if you keep doing 100 different things, it will never happen because your energy is not focused for that. So I believe faith is important, though definitely you can't have a blind faith, but it's a calculated faith, because you have seen Bhagwan said the same. Then Bhagwan, once he achieved abidance, then someone brought all those books from the local library, opened all those chapters and asked Bhagwan to see whether this is what he is experiencing. He said, yes, this is what it is. And this is what written in the book, and I'll explain you more. And then he explained it more elaborately, those things. And when this all happened, then there were like hundreds of other people in 20s, 30s, 40s who followed that path and achieved self-abidance. And we have read about them. So we have more faith. And then since he left his body in last 70 years, there are more people and more people and more people. So what it means, that we are sure that if you follow this way of self-inquiry, self-attention, you will be free. So this is what my take on it, that this is not a blind faith. This is a very calculated faith. Let's say you start believing on some new teaching or new age teaching or someone, and at the end of that teaching, that person himself has drowned, then what will happen to you? So here it is solid. Things have done. 1950, Bhagwan left his body. See every day what he did. People have written notes. You can compare notes. Diaries written by sometimes 3 people on same day. You can compare notes. What was happening on that day. If you have still doubts, then look for another teacher. But if you are strong, you are beholding, you know that this is truth, then it will happen to you if you are practicing. because so many people have tread this path and it has worked for them. Why not you? Why you will be an exception? Then you can remember Aksharnamalai song that, it is shame on Arunachala if you don't achieve. Then it is 100%, it's not even about faith then. It's 100% guaranteed. Passing rate is 100%, but you have to do the right things. 100%. If you go with this much that the results are sure, but you just have to do it. Like Krishna says to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, that it is already decided. You have already won. You just have to do drama of picking up bow and arrow, and you have to kill and do this drama of fight. I have already written the script. You are the winner. Exactly, that's what Bhagwan is saying. How much reassurance do you want? It's so beautiful. So stay and keep doing whatever feels genuine to you, and pay respect to your own self. Utmost respect. That song, I really like that song which recently someone has sung, Hridaya Nivasa Ramaneshwara. Who is residing in your heart is Ramana only, that pure teaching, that pure self in all of us. And if you want to listen to it, you have to be there only. If you want to be there and you want to be here, then it's not possible. Then you will be nowhere. So see how deeply you are into it in your practice, how honest you are in your practice, and it will happen. It has to happen. There is no doubt about it. Okay. Thank you, everyone. We'll catch up next time. Thank you. Om
Thank
Namo
you.
Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you.